Caitlin Clark just landed another incredible endorsement. This time it's with Stanley Cups. God.
The internet just broke. And no, it wasn't because of a game winner or a buzzer beater. It was because of a cup. That's right, Caitlin Clark just signed with Stanley, the brand that turned insulated drinkware into a worldwide obsession. And within hours of the announcement, Stanley sales went through the roof. Shelves emptied, websites crashed, resellers started flipping cups like they were limited edition Jordans. And here's the kicker, Clark hasn't even stepped back on the court yet. She's sidelined, but still dominating. What other athlete can sell water bottles faster than most NBA stars sell sneakers?
Still maintaining to land deals is, legendary. And not to mention, she still got to deal with Gatorade as well. So for her to land this Stanley deal is just, I know a lot of people talk about her agent not being there for her agent doing all these things. I gotta give it to her agent, bro. Now, granted, would Caitlin Clark be getting these deals if she didn't have her agent? Probably. But she still got to give we still got to give some credit to the agent. This is a nice cup here. I don't think I ever seen one like that. This is legendary right here. And Caitlin looks super happy to have this deal as well.
This isn't hype, this is cultural takeover. In today's video, we're diving deep into the Clark effect like you've never seen before. We'll break down how Caitlin Clark turned Stanley into the hottest brand of the summer, why this endorsement might be even more valuable than her Nike or Gatorade deals, what the haters are saying, and what this means for the WNBA moving forward. We'll compare it to sneaker culture, show you why moms and students are lining up for Clark's cups, and explore how this could change athlete endorsements forever. By the end, you'll see why this Stanley partnership isn't just another deal, it's a blueprint for the future. But before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Do you think Caitlin Clark's Stanley deal is actually bigger than some of her basketball milestones? Is this more important than a 30-point game or even a playoff run? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. And while you're at it, smash that like button, subscribe to Her Hoops, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown of the WNBA's biggest stories.
WNBA Candace Parker said WNBA need more roster spots to accommodate the potential injuries. Bro, I just did a video about this morning. Let's listen to this real quick. I didn't even see this.
Expand the roster. Powers is the 17th player to wear the Fever uniform this season. And no, the WNBA did not change the rules about roster sizes. This is actually the case. 17th player on an 11-woman roster, which is insane. And I think it goes back to the cry of
all right, let's set the stage. To really understand how massive this Caitlin Clark x Stanley deal is, you've got to know two things. First, how Stanley became a cultural obsession, and second, how Clark became the most marketable athlete in women's sports. Let's start with Stanley. A few years ago, Stanley was just another outdoor brand making thermoses for campers and hikers. But then came the quencher. Suddenly, moms, students, influencers, and even Wall Street office workers were carrying these cups like status symbols.
Goes back to the cry of expand the roster. Because if you have someone that is the next man up with all of these injuries, at least they're familiar with their offense.
Yeah, with the offense, and you're not trying to work through in the middle of the season, end of the season type of thing. So, but honestly, everyone that we've signed, no matter how late we signed them, had honestly just came in and just been ready and focused on what we do and just try to adjust the best they can. And honestly, I think everyone's just been doing a pretty great job.
Now, the growing discussion that's going into this season is, should Caitlin Clark...
Target drops were selling out in minutes. Exclusive pastel colors were reselling for triple digits online. Think about that. Not sneakers, not handbags, cups. Stanley turned hydration into hype. Now, fast forward to Caitlin Clark. From her record-shattering Iowa career to the WNBA, she's not just a player, she's a phenomenon. She sells out arenas everywhere she goes. She breaks TV ratings records. She moves more merch than the rest of the league combined. And now, brands are lining up for her like it's the NBA draft all over again.
And honestly, I think everyone's just been doing a pretty great job.
Now, the growing discussion that's going into this season is, should Caitlin Clark come back? She's definitely gone on a road trip. So I believe this is from today. They got a West Coast road trip. That's a nice hoodie she's wearing. I like her. Man, I love Caitlin Clark logo. I don't care what nobody says. It's fire.
Nike, already locked in with a $28 million deal. Gatorade, signed. Wilson, signed. Panini trading cards, signed. And then came Stanley. But here's the genius. This wasn't just another sports deal. This was Clark crossing over into mainstream culture. Moms who never watched a minute of the WNBA suddenly cared. Students who weren't following the fever suddenly had Clark's face in their dorm rooms, on their water bottles. This wasn't about basketball, this was about lifestyle. And that's why the Stanley deal didn't just work, it exploded. Here's where things get interesting. Not everyone is cheering for the Caitlin Clark x Stanley partnership. In fact, some of the loudest voices are the critics, the skeptics who refuse to admit that a cup could ever be a cultural phenomenon. The argument goes something like this. It's just a cup. She hasn't won a championship yet. Why is she getting all these deals? And on the surface, it seems fair. After all, we've been conditioned to measure athlete influence purely by stats, highlight reels, and trophies. But here's the problem. Those critics are ignoring the data. Sales reports are in, and they don't lie. Stanley's website traffic spiked double digits the moment Clark's collaboration was teased. Pre-orders for her line went through the roof. Stores reported running out of even generic Stanley stock because fans assumed her special line would be limited. In other words, Clark didn't just add value, she created demand where it didn't exist. Now let's put it in perspective. Other WNBA stars have endorsements. Sabrina Ionescu with Wilson, Angel Reese with Reebok, Breanna Stewart with Nike. Great deals, sure. But are they moving lifestyle products to suburban moms, college students, and office workers who've never watched a Fever game? No, that's the gap Clark is bridging, and it's exactly why the haters can't touch her. Here's the core problem for them. Clark is redefining the rules. She doesn't need a highlight reel to sell out a product. She doesn't need to be on the court to dominate headlines. She's selling culture, and the skeptics didn't see it coming. Every time they try to downplay it, it's just a cup. The numbers laugh back at them. $40 to $60 bottles flying off shelves? Check. Social media frenzy? Check. Fans creating memes and TikToks before the product even drops? Check, check, and check. The real conflict isn't between Clark and other players, it's between traditional thinking and the new rules of athlete influence. Critics want to measure her with old metrics, points, championships, court highlights. But Clark plays in a different arena now: lifestyle, culture, mainstream attention. And in that arena, she's untouchable. Here's where it gets serious. Caitlin Clark isn't just selling cups, she's setting the bar for the entire WNBA. And honestly, the stakes couldn't be higher. If brands, fans, or the league fail to recognize her influence, they're leaving millions, maybe even billions, on the table. Let's break it down. Stanley didn't partner with Clark out of charity. They saw cash registers ringing, traffic spikes, and resellers marking up cups 2 to 3x retail. This is textbook economics. Attach a brand to someone who moves the market, and profits follow. That's why this deal isn't just cool, it's game-changing. And think about what happens if nothing changes. If other WNBA players or brands continue to rely solely on traditional endorsements like shoes or sports gear, they risk falling behind. Clark's success proves that influence now extends far beyond the hardwood. Lifestyle, culture, everyday products. That's where the money is. Miss the shift, and you get left in the dust. Historical examples are clear. Michael Jordan didn't just sell sneakers, he sold an entire lifestyle. Serena Williams didn't just sell tennis rackets, she sold empowerment, fashion, and culture. Clark is doing the same, just in real time, with modern tools like TikTok, Instagram, and viral social media moments. If the WNBA doesn't leverage this, the league misses a chance to elevate its entire profile. Even for Clark herself, the stakes are high. Every deal cements her brand outside basketball. Every sold-out Stanley Cup is proof she can dominate any market. But misstep on the rollout, hype fades, and critics will pounce. She's not just playing for dollars, she's playing for legacy. And here's the kicker. If brands ignore the blueprint Clark is creating, they could be repeating a rookie mistake. Fans now expect more than just an athlete endorsing a product. They expect culture, story, personality. Clark has redefined the metric for success. Miss that, and you're irrelevant before you even launch. Imagine a world where athletes can dominate culture without stepping on the court. Clark just built that reality, and everyone else is scrambling to catch up. Now let's look at the bigger picture. Caitlin Clark isn't just influencing Stanley, she's shaking up the entire endorsement landscape. And with that comes competition, both from other brands and other athletes trying to carve out their lane. First, the brands. Nike, Gatorade, Wilson. They all have their stars, but none of them have tapped the mainstream lifestyle market like Clark just did. For years, they focused on sports gear, shoes, apparel, equipment. That was the safe bet. But Clark just showed that there's untapped gold in lifestyle, something everyday people buy, use, and flaunt. Any brand ignoring her model now risks losing relevance. If Target, Apple, or even Starbucks wanted a piece of this, Clark already has the blueprint to make it work. Then there are the rivals. Other WNBA stars and emerging athletes. Many are talented, marketable, and hardworking. Sabrina Ionescu, Angel Reese, Brianna Stewart, all household names in their own right. But none are selling to everyone, not just basketball fans. The challenge for them is clear. How do you compete with someone whose reach transcends sports? It's no longer about performance alone. It's about culture, visibility, and the ability to turn any product into a must-have. Clark also has options, and this is where the strategy gets genius. She could have stayed in the traditional sports lane. More shoes, more game gear, more athletic-only products. But she didn't. She branched out. Stanley was a calculated risk, a lifestyle brand outside basketball, and it paid off massively. It's proof that athletes today have more flexibility than ever. They can choose to dominate their sport and dominate mainstream culture at the same time. The key takeaway: the market is watching. Competitors are scrambling to figure out how to match Clark's influence. Brands are rethinking their strategies. Other players are asking, how do we get to Clark's level? And the WNBA as a whole is forced to adapt or risk letting Clark's star shine as the single driver of cultural attention. The crazy part? Clark isn't even done. Every new deal, every viral post, every sold-out cup reinforces her lane, and the rest of the league is playing catch-up. Here's the part most people don't see. When an athlete like Caitlin Clark dominates culture outside the court, it inevitably creates tension inside the locker room. Other players notice. They see Clark selling out cups, trending on TikTok, and landing deals that span multiple industries, while they're grinding on the court, sometimes without the same mainstream recognition. Some teammates may feel overlooked. Some might quietly question, is it fair? But here's the reality. It's not about fairness. It's about economics and impact. Clark's deals don't take away from anyone else. They just highlight how rare and influential she is. And let's be real, moments like this can create friction, but they also inspire. Players start asking themselves, how do I expand my own brand? How do I leverage my story? The tension isn't just about envy either. It's about opportunity. Clark's visibility puts a spotlight on the WNBA like never before. That means more eyes on the league, more merchandise sold, and ultimately, more sponsorship dollars that can flow to everyone. But navigating those emotions is tricky, especially for younger players watching a superstar dominate headlines while sidelined with injury. Clark's ability to stay grounded is part of what makes her exceptional. She isn't flaunting her deals in a way that alienates teammates. She's showing by example what's possible. But inside locker rooms, subtle dynamics shift. Conversations happen, questions get raised, and rivalries, friendly or otherwise, take shape. In short, Clark's influence is transformative, yes, but also disruptive. And that disruption is exactly what makes her a game changer for both the league and the culture of women's sports. So, what does the future look like after this Stanley deal? Let's break it down. There are a few scenarios, and each one has major implications. For Clark, the WNBA, and the endorsement world at large. Outcome 1. Clark continues to dominate lifestyle endorsements. This is the most likely scenario. With Stanley, Nike, Gatorade, Wilson, and Panini already in her portfolio, Clark is showing brands she can sell anything, not just sports gear. Imagine a future where Clark expands into tech, home goods, or even fashion lines. Every new category she touches could see a Clark effect: traffic spikes, sellouts, and viral moments. This solidifies her as not just a WNBA superstar, but a cultural icon. Outcome 2. Other athletes follow her blueprint. Competitors will take notes. Younger WNBA stars will aim to build lifestyle brands alongside their basketball careers. This could transform how women's sports are marketed. The league could see more high-profile endorsements, crossover deals, and even more media coverage, all because Clark proved it's possible. Outcome 3. Market saturation or backlash. There's always a risk. If too many products flood the market, the hype could plateau. Critics could double down, claiming Clark's deals are overhyped or just cups. But even in this scenario, the precedent has been set. Clark has already shown the ceiling exists, and brands will continue experimenting in lifestyle spaces because of her trailblazing example. No matter which path unfolds, one thing is clear. Caitlin Clark has permanently altered the rules of athlete influence. She isn't just competing on the scoreboard anymore. She's competing in culture, in consumer behavior, and in mainstream awareness. Arenas most athletes can only dream of entering. Picture a WNBA, where every athlete isn't just playing basketball, but shaping culture and selling lifestyle. And it all started with a cup. That's the power of Caitlin Clark. So here's the takeaway. Caitlin Clark's Stanley deal isn't just about cups. It's proof that she's transcending basketball, creating cultural dominance, and reshaping the endorsement game for women's sports. She's selling lifestyle, influence, and legacy, and she's doing it all while sidelined. Haters can argue, critics can complain, but the numbers don't lie. Clark isn't just a player, she's a movement. Now it's your turn. Do you think this Stanley partnership is Caitlin Clark's smartest endorsement yet? Could this deal actually change how all athletes approach lifestyle products? Or is this just the beginning of the Clark effect taking over every market she touches? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's debate. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to Her Hoops, and ring the bell for notifications, because we break down every WNBA story, every cultural moment, and every game-changing deal like this one.